Lately, it seems like so many of us feel like the world as we once knew it has completely vanished. There seems to be so much chaos and so many changes that came about so quickly. And I think because of this, a lot of us are mentally and emotionally exhausted, like we're all kind of barely hanging on and we don't even understand what's even happening anymore. And unfortunately, what makes all of this even worse is that because we are so stressed out and anxious, a lot of us end up turning to some pretty unhelpful coping mechanisms and thought patterns as an attempt to deal with all of this. We may try to numb ourselves or overindulge in things that we know aren't good for us, or we can completely mentally check out and start engaging in endless escapism, or we can live our life in a constant state of anger or bitterness over everything that's going on, or we can even start to withdraw from our friends and our other social connections because we feel way too overwhelmed to do the things that we always used to do. And even in the rare cases where these strategies or mindsets provide some kind of temporary relief, ultimately they make us feel even more disconnected and drained, and they certainly don't make us feel any better about what's going on in the world or in any of our personal situations. So today I want to talk about a strategy that we can use to help us navigate this ever-evolving world that can not only help to reduce the amount of stress and anxiety that we experience over uncertainty and change, but actually help us to feel a lot more empowered. Now, if you're new here, my name's Nina, and I have been practicing this for about 3 years now, and it has completely changed my life and my outlook. But I do think it has a kind of misleading name, so I immediately want to talk about what it is and isn't, and why it can positively and very dramatically change our life. So what we're talking about here is called radical acceptance, which is a core principle of dialectical behavior therapy, or DBT. It's really a distress tolerance skill that's designed to keep our negative perceptions and pain from turning into suffering. Now, like I said, I think the name itself can cause a little bit of confusion, so I want to let you know right away that this has nothing to do with passively surrendering to chaos or trying to approve of something that we really don't, or ignoring problems or pretending everything is sunshine and rainbows. It's actually kind of the opposite of that. It's more about acknowledging reality even when we don't like it and choosing to still move forward with a clear head and open heart. And this idea was summed up perfectly by psychologist Martha Linehan, who helped to introduce this practice into Western society. She explained, radical acceptance rests on letting go of the illusion of control and a willingness to notice and accept things as they are right now without judging. It is a complete and total openness to the facts of reality as they are without throwing a tantrum and growing angry. Now, believe me, I know that with everything going on in the world, that this practice may not even seem possible right now, but I cannot even begin to explain how much peace and freedom that it really can give us. So how does this mindset help us to navigate change in a more positive way? Well, firstly, it reduces anxiety. This is because when we accept change as a natural part of life, the fear of the unknown loses its power and we're able to approach new situations with curiosity instead of dread. It also increases our resilience. There's always going to be setbacks in our life, but when we can accept what's going on for what it is, we can bounce back from it a lot faster because we understand that our perception of what is going on has a lot to do with the amount of suffering we're going to experience. Something else that I've noticed personally is that it also gives us greater clarity. When we let go of our need to control everything, it frees up all this mental space to focus on things that really matter and the things that we can actually change. And I have found through practicing this that it helps me to make better decisions that are based on the present moment instead of my anxieties about the future. And the great news is absolutely anyone can practice radical acceptance, no matter how toxic our thought patterns have become. And according to Marcia Linehan, there are 10 steps to practicing it. So I'm definitely going to go over those, but then I want to also offer some additional tips that I have found helpful myself. So let's start with the 10 steps you can use when you feel resistance. The first is to observe that you are questioning or fighting reality by noticing when your inner dialogue is saying things like, it shouldn't be this way. Number 2 is to remind yourself that the unpleasant reality is what it is and cannot be changed. Number 3 is to remind yourself that there are causes for this reality. Number 4 is to practice accepting what's going on with your whole mind, body, and spirit. This can be done through using accepting self-talk, relaxation techniques, and practicing mindfulness. Number 5 is to list out all the behaviors that you would engage in if you did accept this reality, and then engage in those behaviors as if you have already accepted the facts. Now, number 6 takes this idea even further, and it's to imagine in your mind's eye actually believing what you do not want to accept. Step number 7 is to attend to your body sensations as you think about the situation your mind wants to resist. Now, number 8 is to simply allow any disappointment, sadness, or grief to arise within you without trying to push it away. I think number 9 is a huge one, and that is to acknowledge that life can still be worth living even when there is pain. And number 10 is to consider all the pros and cons if you find yourself resisting practicing acceptance. So those are the official steps, but like I said, there were a couple other things that I have found to be pretty helpful that did not make this list. So let's go ahead and talk about those as well. The first thing is to have mindful moments. Just take a few moments every day to observe your thoughts and feelings without judgment, and meditation apps and guided exercises can be really helpful tools if this is something that is completely new to you. The second thing is to start a gratitude practice. And we can do this by shifting our focus to the good things in our life, no matter how few or far between they may seem. One way we could do this is to write down in a gratitude journal 3 good things that happened to us that day, or discuss them with a friend or loved one. Or you can do what I do, which is when I'm falling asleep every night, I list out in my mind all the good things that happened to me that day that I'm very grateful for. And when we do these types of things, it really does help us to accept the things that we can't change and focus on them a lot less. And lastly, we can begin to focus on solutions. So when we're faced with a challenge that we can control or influence, instead of just dwelling on all the things that are out of our control, brainstorm solutions that we can actually implement. It's all about finding the balance between accepting things for how they are in this moment, but working towards positive change when it's possible, because some things are in our control. We do have to remember, however, that radical acceptance is a journey, and we may not get there overnight. But with continued practice, we will start to develop a toolbox of skills to help us navigate our life with a lot more resilience and a lot less anxiety. So when you start to feel that resistance, just take a deep breath and acknowledge what is, and you will begin to feel more and more empowered and much better able to face any of these changes that are coming your way. And like I said, I've been practicing this for about 3 years, and it has completely changed my life. So I am confident that this method can be a life changer for you as well. So as always, I truly hope that today's video was helpful and insightful. If it was, please like it, share it, and definitely become a subscriber if you weren't one already. I would love it if you stayed connected. I want to thank you so much for watching, and I hope the rest of your day is extraordinary.